Greetings, my name is Shayla Vega, and I am coming at you live from ilovenakedyogaofficial. Yes, my company name is I Love Naked Yoga, and it's more of a sense of being empowered and being confident in your own skin, feeling comfortable to be naked, and whatever that means to you. So it's not necessarily about sitting around being naked. It's about having the confidence and feeling good in your own skin and feeling sexy, feeling good, feeling energized, feeling, uh, like you can be yourself. You can be yourself around people without judgment. That's what it's all about. So basically, we're going through the Master Key. We're on part 3, and I'm just giving you the summary of part 3. And I'd like you to follow along. Go ahead and check out some of my other videos. The Master Key System is a book that I started reading when I was going through a divorce. I was going through a really hard time in my life, and I was really seeking strength and guidance to not be afraid to put my dreams into reality. My whole life, I would always have people tell me, like, no, it can't be done. You're a dreamer. You have too many big ideas. Why don't you just go to work and cut your dreads and go, work at Walmart, or go, family and friends and my community. Like, I always felt like I was kind of on my own as far as the things that I wanted to do. I never had anyone who really saw the vision. And I'm a big dreamer, so I had a bunch of big dreams and ambition. And I always felt like people who were closest to me were the people who were the naysayers. They were the people who were telling me it couldn't be done. And so I was really seeking a way that I could get through the hard. I was seeking a way to be able to find the strength within myself to do what scared the shit out of me, and to be able to put my ideas into motion. And it was during the time of a divorce, which I was kind of like, fuck you to the man. Who are you to hold me down? I'm going to do everything that I've ever wanted to do, and I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to take the world by storm and do everything that I was told that couldn't be done, and I'm going to do it by myself. I originally had this vision that I was going to do it with my husband, and push comes to shove, the husband was nowhere to be found when it came to pursuit of my dreams. And that sounds selfish, pursuit of my dreams. What do you mean? It's a marriage. We're supposed to pursue each other's dreams. Well, yeah, we had a plan, and so when it came down to making that move towards the next step, the counterpart pretty much dug his feet in the ground and said, sorry, there's no way we can do this. And so I was like, there's no way you can do this. Sorry, dude, I'm out. Like, I'm not going to live in, it was never my path to stay in this situation. My path was to evolve and move and grow and build and get more education and develop myself academically and in career. Like, I thought we were in this together, but when push came to shove, it was like I kind of felt like I was duped. Like, I had been taken for a ride, massive. And this has happened multiple times in my life in relationships where I jump in and I think that it's like an equal give and take, or it's mutually supportive, or, and it ends up being the exact opposite, where I'm supportive of my partner, but they're not supportive of me at all. And that's the classic narcissist empath combo, where one person is super giving and super empathetic and super healing and super kind and compassionate and emotional, and the other person is think for themselves. That's it. They don't even maybe have the capacity to have empathy or emotions or any of that. It's a classic scenario. And anyways, so what I want to do today is go through the Master Key Part 3. And if you followed along, the reason why the Master Key is so important, and I urge you to read it, is because once you get it, this is the only thing you'll ever need to know ever in your life. It teaches you how to apply the laws of physics and nature to manifest what you want and how to think, how to utilize energies, how to create the energies that create universes, and how to basically begin to manifest your dreams. And so this isn't for everyone. This is for maybe, you know, people who are really into like planning and budgeting and material, practical, physical things that you do to manifest and materialize things with your own efforts. This is a kind of a different take on how to achieve what you want to achieve, and it starts from within. Again, it's called The Master Key by Charles Haanel. It's a free PDF online. You can order a copy for under $15 on Amazon, or simply YouTube. Listen to an audiobook. It's like 8 hours long by audiobook, but check it out. All right, so chapter 3. You have found that the individual may act on the universal, and that the result of this action and interaction is cause and effect. Thought, therefore, is the cause, and the experiences with which you meet in life are the effect. Eliminate, therefore, any possible tendency to complain of conditions as they have been or as they are, because it rests with you to change them and make them what you would like them to be. Direct your effort to a realization of the mental resources always at your command, from which all real and lasting power comes. I'm going to stop and interject. Now, the thing is that eliminate, therefore, any possible tendency to complain of conditions as they have been or as they are, because it rests with you to change them and make them what you would like them to be. Now, here's where I'm at. I have been on a in a, what do you call it? The rat race, not the rat race, the wheel, you know what I'm trying to say? Spinning my wheels. I've been spinning my wheels trying to figure this out. Excuse me. And so spinning my wheels trying to figure out how to I haven't even been trying to figure out anything. I've been basically beating myself up for the way things have turned out in my life, as if it's my fault, and sort of like revisiting the same situation and stuck, like mentally stuck, massive, like unable to focus on school, unable to focus on work, and really in a depressed state of mind. And intellectually, I know not to continue to, you know, think about things over and over and over again. But so how do you eliminate the tendency to complain of conditions as they have been or as they are? Well, obviously, whatever is causing you those triggers, remove them. Meditate, you know, go do something different, go to a class, talk to people, go out with family, read, entertainment, whatever it is that you need to do. Direct your effort to a realization of the mental resources always at your command, from which all real and lasting power comes. So power comes from how you think. And, you know, we get weakened by having thoughts that are self-condemnation, guilt, shame, should have, would have, could have, he did this, she did that, this happened in my past, mommy, daddy issues. Shit, people blame fucking reincarnation and past lives for how they currently are. Let's get to the meat of it. It's how you think. All right. So here's what we need to do: is we need to really put this into practice right now of how to change your thought processes in order to start manifesting and get unstuck. All right. So here's what and this is the reason why this book is so important. Go get a copy. Just do it. All right. You'll never need to know anything else ever again. This is it. This is the book that is going to show you in layman's terms how to utilize your mind in order to transform your life and manifest anything you want in the whole world. So go get your book. All right, so direct your effort to realization of the mental resources always at your command, from which real and lasting power comes. Persist in this practice. Persist in this practice until you come to a realization of the fact that there can be no failure in the accomplishment of any proper object in life if you but understand your power and persist in your object, because the mind forces are ever ready to lend themselves to a purposeful will in the effort to crystallize thought and desire into actions, events, and conditions. As you know, we can take all of these words and turn them into powerful affirmations of things that you can tell yourself. And so here's an example. So the last sentence there that we just read was that the mind forces are ever ready to lend themselves to a purposeful will in the effort to crystallize thought and desire into actions, events, and conditions. Let's look at that word crystallize. So what happens when something is crystallized? It's metamorphed. It's like a whole bunch of particles are gelled together and creates this sort of like solid substance. And so what happens with our mind force is it materializes and crystallizes into material form. So I'm going to turn that into an affirmation. My mind forces are ever ready to lend themselves to a purposeful will in the effort to crystallize thought and desire into actions, events, and conditions. My mind does that. Where areas in the beginning, each function of life and each action is the result of conscious thought, the habitual actions become automatic, and the thought that controls them passes into the realm of the subconscious. Yet it is just as intelligent, therefore, or it is just as intelligent as before. It is necessary that it becomes automatic or subconscious in order that the self-conscious mind may attend to other things. The new actions will, however, in their turn, become habitual, then automatic, then subconscious, in order that the mind again may be freed from this detail and advance to still other activities. When you realize that you will have found, when you realize this, you will have found a source of power which will enable you to take care of any situation in life which may develop. So I'm going to again meditate on this affirmation and turn that into an affirmation. When I realize this, I have found a source of power which enables me to take care of any situation in life that develops. The necessary interaction of the conscious and subconscious mind requires a similar interaction between the corresponding systems of nerves. Judge Troward indicates the very beautiful method in which this interaction is effected. He says, the cerebral spinal system is the organ of the conscious mind, and the sympathetic system is the organ of the subconscious. The cerebral spinal is the channel through which we receive conscious perception from the physical senses and to exercise control over the movements of the body. This system of nerves has its center in the brain. The sympathetic system has to center in a ganglionic mass at the back of the stomach known as the solar plexus, and is the channel of that mental action which unconsciously supports the vital functions of the body. So you've heard, perhaps, if you've ever listened to any spiritual messages from anyone or anything, you might have heard about the solar plexus. And so this is a spot in that has all of this ganglionic mass of nerves that goes out to other organs, and it's situated in a. So it's the cerebral spinal system, the organ of the conscious mind, and the sympathetic system is the organ of the subconscious. All right, so this little mass of nerves is called the solar plexus. The connection between the two systems is made by the vagus nerve, which passes out of the cerebral region as a portion of the voluntary system to the thorax, sending out branches to the heart and lungs, and finally passing through the diaphragm. It loses its outer coating and becomes identified with the nerves as of the sympathetic system, so forming a connecting link between the two and making man physically a single entity. We have seen that every thought is received by the brain, which is the organ of the conscious. It is here subjected to our power of reasoning. When the objective mind has been satisfied that the thought is true, it is sent to the solar plexus, or the brain of the subjective mind, to be made into our flesh, to be brought forth into the world as reality. It is then no longer susceptible to any argument whatever. The subconscious mind cannot argue, it only acts. It accepts the conclusion of the objective mind as final. The solar plexus has been likened to the sum of the body because it is a central part of the distribution for the energy which the body is constantly generating. This energy is very real energy, and this sum is a very real sun. Sorry, the sun is a very real sun, and the energy is being distributed by very real nerves to all parts of the body and is thrown off in an atmosphere which envelopes the body. If this radiation is sufficiently strong, the person is called magnetic. He is said to be filled with personal magnetism. Such a person may yield an immense power for good. His presence alone will often bring comfort to the troubled minds with which he comes in contact. When the solar plexus is in active operation and is radiating life, energy, and vitality to every part of the body and to everyone whom he meets, the sensations are pleasant, the body is filled with health, and all with whom he comes in contact experience a pleasant sensation. This is a classic empath, the healer, the nurturer, the feminine, divine feminine, the person who just simply being around them, you feel comforted. So if there is any interruption of this radiation, the sensations are unpleasant. The flow of life and energy to some part of the body is stopped, and this is the cause of every ill to the human race, physical, mental, or environmental. Physical, because the sun of the body is no longer generating sufficient energy to vitalize some part of the body. Mental, because the conscious mind is dependent upon the subconscious mind for the vitality necessary to support its thought. And environmental, because the connection between the subconscious mind and the universal mind is being interrupted. The solar plexus is the point at which the part meets the whole, where the finite becomes infinite, where the uncreate becomes, where the thing that's not yet created becomes created. The universal becomes individualized. The invisible becomes visible. It is the point at which life appears, and there is no limit to the amount of life an individual may generate from this solar center. The center of energy is omnipotent because it is the point of contact with all life and all intelligence. It can therefore accomplish whatever it is directed to accomplish, and herein lies the power of the conscious mind. The subconscious can and will carry out such plans and ideas as may be suggested to it by the conscious mind. Conscious thought, then, is master of the sun center from which the life and energy of the entire body flows, and the quality of the thought which we entertain determines the quality of thought which this sun will radiate, and the character of the thought which our conscious mind entertains will determine the character of the thought which this sun will radiate, and the nature of the thought which our conscious mind entertains will determine the nature of thought which this sun will radiate, and consequently will determine the nature of the experience which will result. So, as you think, so shall you be. You reap what you sow. What you think is what you get. Your predominant mental energy is the predominant mental energy that shows up in your life. Non-resistant thought expands the solar plexus. Resistant thought contracts it. Pleasant thoughts expand it. Unpleasant thoughts contract it. Thoughts of courage, power, confidence, and hope all produce a corresponding state. But the one arch enemy of the solar plexus, which must be absolutely destroyed before there is any possibility of letting any light shine, is fear. The enemy must be completely destroyed. He must be eliminated. He must be expelled forever. He is the cloud which hides the sun, which causes a perpetual gloom. Fear. The greatest fear is fear itself. And oftentimes the things that we fear, the things that come up, are the things that maybe sometimes we've been conditioned to have those fears, you know. Maybe once you put yourself out there and you got rejected, or you didn't get the job, or you lost a job, or whatever. But fears come from like fear of what other people think, of what will the Joneses think, what will the neighbors think, what will my parents think, what will my family think, what will they think, who's they? Fear. Why do we have fear? I wish I didn't have fear. Sometimes I think having fear is okay. I mean, it's there to protect us. But sometimes I look at people who just go for the gusto. They have no fear. Like, they can get up there on stage with a horrible singing voice and sing their hearts out and not have no fear of what anyone thinks. They don't care. So I'd like to learn that. That's why I keep coming back to this book and meditation. It is the personal devil. Fear is the personal devil, which makes man fear the past, the present, and the future. Fear themselves, their friends, and their enemies. Fear everything and everybody. When fear is effectually and completely destroyed, your light will shine, the clouds will disperse, and you will have found the source of power, energy, and life. Doesn't that sound nice? That's what I need right now. I need to find the source of power, energy, and life. When you find that you're really one with the infinite power, and when you can consciously realize this power by a practical demonstration of your ability to overcome any adverse condition by the power of your thought, you will have nothing to fear. Fear will have been destroyed, and you will have come into possession of your birthright. Because our attitude of and towards life, which determines the experiences with which we are to meet. If we expect nothing, we shall have nothing. If we demand much, we shall receive the greater portion. The world is harsh only as we fail to assert ourselves. The criticism of the world is bitter only to those who cannot compel room for their ideas. It is fear of this criticism that causes many ideas to fail to see the light of day. That's a really sad thing. You know, we have so many big, hairy, audacious goals, and you know that what that means is that it's a sad thing, but every idea you have is a seed. There's potential for it to blossom and bloom. Fear is pulling the seed out of the ground to see if it's germinated yet. It kills it. And I know this. I know I have done the self-sabotage thing quite a lot in my life. But you know, it's up to you to change that, and that's why we're going through this book. And that's why I recommend that you go get yourself a copy and look it up online like I suggested, and check out the audiobook, or just tune in and hang out with me for a little bit. But the man who knows that he has a solar plexus will not fear criticism or anything else. He will be too busy radiating courage, confidence, and power. He will anticipate success by his mental attitude. He will pound barriers to pieces and leap over the chasm of doubt and hesitation which fear places in his path. Knowledge of our ability to consciously radiate health, strength, and harmony will bring us into a realization that there's nothing to fear because we are in touch with infinite strength. That's a good one to turn into a positive affirmation. Knowledge of my ability to consciously radiate health, strength, and harmony brings me into a realization that there is nothing to fear because I am in touch with infinite strength. This knowledge can be gained only by making practical application of this information. We learn by doing. Through practice, the athlete becomes powerful. As the following statement is of considerable importance, I will put it in several ways so that you cannot fail to get the full significance of it. If you are religiously inclined, I would say you can let your light shine. If your mind has a bias toward physical science, I would say you can wake the solar plexus. Or if you prefer the strictly scientific interpretation, I will say that you can impress your subconscious mind. I have already told you what the result of this impression will be. It is the method in which you are now interested. You've already learned that the subconscious is intelligent and that it is creative and responsive to the will of the conscious mind. What then is the most natural way of making the desired impression? Mentally concentrate on the object of your desire. When you are concentrating, you are impressing upon the subconscious. This goes for both good and bad, by the way. So, if you're mentally focusing on the object of your desire, but you're focusing on the lack of it and feeling bad, you're also basically impressing upon your subconscious mind the lack of it and feeling bad. So in that sense, it's not always good to just meditate on the object of your desire unless you can be in a place where you believe that it is already there. And so caution, with that is, and that's why I'm going through this book, is to teach people about this concept of, affirmations and thinking positively and how it works scientifically. And not just giving you a bunch of, fairy dust and, spiritual guidance without actually giving you practical application. Spiritual guidance requires practice as well. Like a spiritual enlightened mind requires practice and work and dedication. But it also is like, how do you actually change being in a stuck vibration where you can't seem to change the thoughts, where like you can't seem to get out of a negative spiral? How do you actually change that? Well, that's why we're going through this book, to learn step by step. So this is not the only way, but is a simple and effective way, and the most direct way, and consequently the way in which the best results are secured. It's the method which is producing such extraordinary results that many think that miracles are being accomplished. It's the method by which every great inventor, every great financial person, every great statesman has been enabled to convert subtle and invisible force of desire, faith, and confidence into actual, tangible, concrete facts in the objective world. That's a powerful affirmation. So what I'm going to say then is that I have been able to convert this subtle and invisible force of desire, faith, and confidence into actual, tangible, concrete facts in the objective world. The subconscious mind is a part of the universal mind. The universal mind is the creative principle of the universe. A part must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. This means that the creative power is absolutely unlimited. It is not bound by precedent of any kind and consequently has no prior existing pattern by which to apply its constructive principle. We have found that the subconscious mind is responsive to our conscious will, which means that the unlimited creative power of the universal mind is within control of the conscious mind of the individual. That's a big statement. I'm going to break that down. We have found that the subconscious mind is responsive to our conscious will, which means that the unlimited creative power of the universal mind is within control of the conscious mind of the individual. That's trippy. That's hard. That's a hard thing to really process. When making a practical application of this principle in accordance with the exercises given in the subsequent lessons, it is well to remember that it is not necessary to outline the method by which the subconscious will produce the results you desire. The finite cannot inform the infinite. You are simply to say what you desire, not how you are to obtain it. Now, if you're an intellectual, smart, conscious person, that's very difficult to do because you want to know how to plan it, how to budget it, what do I learn, what steps, I need a strategic plan, outline, goal, I need evidence, I need to see it before I can believe it. You know, there's more than just simply stating your desire. Yes, you do have to have that desire and state it. You also have to believe that it's possible. But you don't always, you don't always need to know how you're going to obtain it. You're the channel by which the undifferentiated is being differentiated. And this differentiation is being accomplished by appropriation. It only requires recognition to set causes in motion which will bring about results in accordance with your desire. And this is accomplished because the universal can act only through the individual, and the individual can act only through the universal. They are one. For your exercise this week, you will be asked to go one step further. I want you to not only be perfectly still and inhibit all thought as far as possible, but relax, let go, let the muscles take their normal condition. This will remove all pressure from the nerves and eliminate the tension which so frequently produce physical exhaustion. Physical relaxation is a voluntary exercise of the will, and the exercise will be found to be of great value as it enables the blood to circulate freely to and from the brain and body. Tensions lead to mental unrest and abnormal mental activity of the mind. It produces worry, care, fear, and anxiety. Relaxation is therefore an absolute necessity in order to allow the mental faculties to exercise the greater freedom. Make this exercise as thorough and complete as possible. Mentally determine that you will relax every muscle and nerve until you feel quiet and restful and at peace with yourself and the world. The solar plexus will then be ready to function and you will be surprised at the result. If you're in the local area, you can contact me for Thai yoga therapy, acupressure, and hot stone bodywork. Yoga, personal yoga training, spiritual counsel, and herbal medicine detox protocol, as well as meal prep and meal planning for weight loss, or if you're interested in toning your body or shaping your body, and not necessarily weight loss, but simply toning and shaping your physique, contact me. The practical application of all this is in my spiritual practice, which is my healing practice. So if you are interested and need assistance with your relaxation, contact me. Otherwise, we're going to be going through a couple of practical demonstrations through yoga together in just a few moments. After I go through this summary. So to sum up what we just learned in part 3 of the Masterkey system, we learned about the cerebral spinal system, which is a system of nerves in the organ of the system of nerves that is the organ of the conscious mind. The system of nerves that is the organ of the subconscious mind is the sympathetic nervous system. The central point of distribution for energy, which the body is constantly generating, is called the solar plexus. The distribution is interrupted by resistant, critical, discordant thoughts, but especially fear. What is the result of such interruption? Every ill with which the human race is afflicted. How may this energy be controlled and directed? By conscious thought. So we have to consciously decide how to think, How may fear be completely eliminated? By an understanding and recognition of the true source of all power. What determines the experiences with which we meet in life? Our predominant mental attitude. How may we awake the solar plexus? Mentally concentrate on the condition which we desire to see manifested in our lives. What is the creative principle of the universe? The universal mind. So my question is, if you know that you have certain fears and you have, let's say you were, traumatized as a kid for some reason, something happened, death or abuse or trauma, something like that of any kind, and you feel like maybe you have like a program in place, you've tried to come out of it, but somehow in certain situations, like let's say you get involved in a relationship and all of a sudden all these fears come up and you start manifesting your partner is, let's say, a cheater or a liar, or you somehow continuously manifest yourself in a third party situation. Maybe that's part of being conditioned from something you learned as a child that was like something like, you're not good enough, no one will ever love you, you'll always be on the back burner, and basically you might as well be a fucking doormat. Maybe another example is like, okay, so I learned growing up that love is money. I know that sounds really shallow, but I grew up without a father around, and my dad would try to make up for lost time and affection with buying me gifts and stuff and things. Now, I know that sounds messed up or whatever, but I somehow learned to associate gifts and money and stuff with love. And actually, my love language is gifts and money. Some people's love language is touch. Some people's love language is acts of service, or doing nice things like getting someone's oil checked or shoveling their driveway. So the way that you experience things can be conditioning and programming. So what we need to do is we need to be conscious. That's, again, step one: become conscious and aware of where these issues are and where these patterns of thought are and how they've manifested. Two, make a statement that says something like, I'm conscious and aware of my responsibility in my outer world. I continuously manifest this shit because I have issues. I think along certain ways. I recognize and know that I need to change how I think. And so higher power, God of my overstanding, spirit, ancestors, angel guides, whatever it is you believe, higher forces out there, higher self, I ask you for guidance to help me change these thought patterns. And I confess and admit that I know that I am the co-creator with the universe. So whatever is showing up around me is a product of my thought. And I know a lot of people aren't going to be like, what? I wasn't thinking about incarceration. I wasn't thinking about a car accident. I wasn't thinking about being a third party, or, being like used for my money or my body, or I wasn't thinking about being rejected. Like, how is that? It's not necessarily that you were thinking about those things, but perhaps you had a train of thought that was like, in some other way, shape, or form, like, I felt stuck, I felt trapped, I felt like I was stuck in a rut, and then I got a flat tire and I literally was stuck. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't sitting there thinking about fearing a flat tire. I was actually just really fucking stuck on feeling stuck. And then I literally got stuck because that's where my energy was. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes the things that we put out into the universe take time to incubate and manifest. So, like, be careful, because one thing you think today can manifest and materialize years down the road. And So what we put out there in thought form are seeds of creation, and those seeds are planted and created into tangible material form. Some people call that the Akashic records. It's like every thought that ever was thought in the whole universe has a frequency, and it can be picked up and harnessed and transmuted into material form. Um, and that's kind of what people who are oracles or who can tap into, like, who are psychic or who use tarot cards or divination material, like tools. It's really just picking up on the energies that are already circulating in the universe. And just like what our cell phones do, our computers do, these devices do, we have that inherent nature within us first and foremost. And that's, we're co-creators with the universe. So um, we have the ability to create what we want, but we also have the ability to plant our desires into the universe. Now, what happens if you don't have faith in your desires that you've planted is that you go back and then you kind of like kill it with your doubt and your fear. So if you do kill your thought with your doubt and fear, like all of a sudden you get cold feet, you don't think you can do it. And now you've already just spoken a whole bunch of negative shit into your life. Then what do? Do you just have to ride it out and let all that negative shit materialize? Like, what is the answer there? And for example, I'm driving along in my car and all of a sudden I'm thinking about, I knew that I was gonna lose that client. I knew that I said something, I fucked up, I did something to basically turn that person away. I must have offended them, or I'm just not good enough. I'll never amount to anything because now I've just fucking ruined that. I in fact, I don't even deserve to have this job. I suck. I fucking suck. Like, I'm just giving examples of how we can let our fear turn into more negativity that then we put into the universe. And if it's true that our predominant mental energies create reality, well, then what do you do if you got in a rut and you got stuck and you got afraid and you just spoke a whole bunch of shit into the universe, and you are conscious enough to know that um, thought becomes things. So now what? Well, that's kind of where I'm at. And that's why I'm going back to the drawing board on the master key. And really what it means is it's time to sit down and it's time to get out your journal or your meditation voice memos, whatever way that you get your thoughts out into the universe. It's time to sit down, go back to the drawing board, and really kind of ask yourself some serious questions about what you want and what you really want to feel. Like, it's not necessarily amount of money. It might be, I want to feel stability. I want to feel security. I want to feel successful. I want to feel loved. I want to feel accepted. I want to feel acknowledged. I want to feel recognized. I want to feel respected. I want to feel important. I want to feel valued. I want to value others. I want to feel compassion. I want to feel wealthy and abundant. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like to you? What does it look like to feel the way that you want to feel? Can you describe it? Can you picture it? Can you meditate on it? Can you see it? Like, for example, I want to feel stable and secure in my living situation. However, currently, the situation has been that I've been couch surfing, or, I just lost my job. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent, or, my landlord told me she's going to sell the house. Now what am I going to do? So, like, I don't necessarily have that feeling. I want to feel stable and secure. But if I go say an affirmation like, I am stable and secure, but I don't feel it, I end up feeling worse. Affirmations have, if you don't know how the law of attraction works, you can't just go say the words and go through the motions. You have to actually feel it and believe it as if it's already there. Now, me, when I was in that situation and I was couch surfing and had nowhere to live, and I was stuck in a rut and up shit creek without a paddle with nowhere to fucking turn, uh, I didn't feel stable or secure. So I couldn't sit there and meditate on feeling stable and secure. I had no fucking clue how anything was going to work out. So what I did instead was every day I would identify anything that represented stability and security. So I would look at the mountains. And I would sit there and say, you know, I recognize the mountains are stable and secure. They're vast, they're big, they're magnetic. They are not moving, they are not changing, they're solid. And I'm not talking about arguing about the fact that the mountains change over time and I'm talking in general terms. So if you want to argue about like the physics behind the mountains and how they always are moving and they always are changing. Okay, I'm talking about like a general and broad sense of the word. And trust me, I've already had this argument with a friend who was like, actually, the mountains aren't stable or secure. They are moving all the time. All right, you get what I'm saying. So every day I would sit and I would look at the mountains and I would say, wow, you know, the mountains are stable and they're secure. They're vast. You know, I've been around Colorado since I was a kid, and those mountains are still there. That's stable and that's secure. Like, that's something that's not changing. That is glorious, right? Or is stable and secure that the sun is coming up every day. And thank God, you know, and so milk it. So you find an object that represents the item or the thing that you desire and milk it for all it's worth. Meditate on all its aspects. Uh, for example, I'm a starving artist. I'm a grad student and I struggle with money. So, okay, sometimes I have some, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get work, sometimes I don't. I'm self-employed. So it's a kind of a hard thing to be always focusing on abundance. Like, if I go focus on abundance, I get depressed because actually it's hard to see. It's fucking hard to see. So like instead, what I'm gonna do is I would actually focus on the grass. Like, you know, I'm working out. I'm on a treadmill. I'm overlooking a window, and I see a big field. And so what I do is I would literally say, like, wow, look at how abundant the grass is. Like the grass its rhizomes. Like, you know how many blades of grass are growing right there? That's like hundreds of millions of thousands of blades of grass. Or, you know, looking at trees or looking at the air, looking at the sunshine. Like there's plenty of sun to go around for everybody. Uh, you know, meditate and focus on the abundance of the sun rays, the abundance of how many cars drive by you daily. Like if you added up how much money all those cars totaled in value and really focused on it, it's, you know, you don't have to be doing this in terms of I am so abundant, I am so blessed, I am so financially abundant. If you're not feeling it and you actually get depressed when you start thinking about those things, because inside you kind of know that your bank account's overdrawn or whatever, like instead the easy thing to do is to find something that you can focus on, and detach yourself from it. So like, you know, I want to feel confident. Well, I can focus on someone I see in the news, or a celebrity or a friend or a family member that's confident, and I can really admire them and respect them and really point out all the qualities that that person has that makes them confident. And so in that sense, what happens is you're like absorbing the energies of the thing you're thinking and meditating about, and it will have its way through you and work through you in the way that you need. So like I'm focusing on abundance of blades of grass and, you know, all the things around me that are abundant. And eventually over time that will start materializing in my life. After I did that meditation on the mountains for stability and security for a good 3 months or longer, I actually ended up manifesting a dream house in the mountains on a rock on the very mountain ridge that I meditated on. And it happened without me needing any money. Like I didn't have any money to pay for it. Like it was a divine synchronistic chain of events that occurred that led me to the place that I am now. And, you know, by anyone else's standards that came and visited my house, they might point out, wow, it's a fixer-upper. You know, it's got this wrong, it needs new countertops or whatever. You know, I don't care. I have a house that is on top of a rock on a ridge with acreage around, trees and dirt and grass and nature, a lake nearby. Like the feeling is peaceful. It feels good. It feels really good and calm and serene. And that's exactly the feeling that I wanted. In my past, I would meditate and manifest actual things. I would sit, for example, I remember I manifested my first Mercedes Benz. Every day, I do massage therapy. So every day when I work while I'm doing a massage, I would close my eyes and I would literally challenge myself to envision a white Mercedes Benz. And I did this every day for 3, 4 months. I really closed my eyes. I meditated on that Mercedes Benz every day. And I would say, you know, I'm so grateful because I have this Mercedes Benz and it's so cute and I look so cute. Hi. And so, you know, what I did over time is I actually went and I manifested the Mercedes Benz. Again, a divine synchronistic chain of events that led me to the object of my desire. And same thing with the yoga studio. Like I can recall sitting and meditating on amounts of money that I wanted, or specific clothes that I wanted, or you know, a specific type of man that I wanted who looked a certain way and had a certain job or whatever. Like, and I really got really good at doing this. And what happened was I realized that like I could manifest material things, but I still felt empty inside. You know, I manifested all this stuff, but I had to work 21 hours a day to pay for it. I felt awful and uneasy and stressed.
Are you recording?
Uh-huh.
I need to put a trap on. You live stream. Sorry. Sorry, public.
Yes, so that was my roommate. And okay, so what I would do is I started realizing I could manifest things and stuff and feel like shit inside. And I was like, what? You mean I could manifest the man of my dreams, but he just happens to be married? Or you know, I could manifest the car that I wanted, but now I have on top of the car and all the other stuff that I manifested, I have to work like 20 hours a day. And I feel tired. I'm not even able to enjoy any of the things that I materialized. I have this great house, this great condo, this great car, and all this money that I'm making, but it comes in and goes out just as fast. I mean, I have no peace. Like, I don't feel at peace, you know? So then I started realizing, what I want to do is I want to manifest a feeling, because you know, you can have all the abundance in the world and not feel abundant. You can have all the fanciest car in the world and still feel like shit. You know what I mean? Like, how you feel really matters. And people tend to disassociate their feelings from their reality. So like how you feel determines the outcome of your reality. So if I feel stressed and upset and I can't even enjoy the things that I've worked so hard to attain, what kind of life is that? Like, I'd rather feel peace and calm and at ease. And so what I started doing was I started thinking about, like, I want to feel abundant. I want to feel secure. I want to feel stable. And yes, I also want the physical manifestation of it. You know, I also want the house, I want the car, I want the job, I want the whatever. But if I focus on the feeling of stability, all those other things come. You know what I mean? So I hope this helped you. My name is Shayla Vega, and if you've been in a situation where you have a perpetual, repeated thoughts that you are having a hard time shaking, it's important to stop and really get down to the nitty gritty of what it is you want to feel and stop, because it's important. I want you all to have a happy and healthy life. I really do. And I want that for myself. This is something that I'm going through right now, and I wanted to share this book because the Masterkey has been on my shelf and I've read it, studied it, listened to it, you know, for a long, long time. It's really changed my life, and I'm hoping that you guys can find some benefit in this if anyone watches this. Thank you, and I'm signing off. I'm Shayla Vega, and find my information, you know, look at more videos of mine, send me an email, comments, questions, like, and subscribe to my channel, please. Thank you. Bye, guys.